Are you feeling a little blue? Well, when you're feeling a little blue, you know the best thing to do is add more blue. It's a different shade of blue. Aha! It's Beretta blue. What is in this box? Well, if you read the title of the video, I'm guessing there was a clue there. So here we have the Beretta box. Beretta logo. Always like that logo with the 3 arrows and rings. Sort of a John Bonham meets E Pluribus Unum kind of thing. I like that. All right, so, and of course, you gotta love that. Not too far from here, as a matter of fact. So, here it is. No mystery, no surprises. The Beretta Nano. The Beretta Nano has been a gun that, for the past couple of years, has sort of been on my so what list. I'm going to be honest. You know, I would look at the Nano, you know, and just go, yeah, whatever, you know. Recently, though, in conversations with folks who really appreciate the Nano, kind of got a little bit more curious about it and gained a little bit of respect, I think. I've still not fired it. This is literally an unboxing, so I have no idea how it's going to shoot, and that, of course, that means all the difference. But we are going to take the Just an Opinion channel first 100 look at the Beretta Nano, see what it's all about. See what I like, what I don't like, and all that good stuff. But the Nano is a gun you don't see and hear a whole lot about. Doesn't get a lot of attention. It's not listed, you know, in a lot of people's, you know, top X number of, you know, carry gun lists and things like that. So let me just do a quick what's in the box look. Basically, it's just a manual and a little pamphlet for, you know, from Beretta. And that's about it. So you got that. You have another magazine. I'll talk about the magazines in a moment. I'm going to take that out. You've got this little Beretta cup thing. I'm not sure exactly what that's for. You know, I see people put little parts and stuff in it, which is kind of a cool use, I guess. You know, so it's sort of maybe a little tiny Beretta armorer's cup. But I don't know. It'll look good on the bench. I'll find a use for it. That'll stay on the bench. And we have our Beretta gun lock. I don't have a Beretta gun lock yet, so this will be a nice addition to the gun lock collection. And of course the pistol itself and a plastic bag it came in, and that is it. That is about it. So let me close this box, put it away. The plastic carrying case for the Beretta is okay, kind of low end, but you know, it gets it home. If you wanted to use it as your constant transport, it just, you know, it looks to me like these are going to break off. You know how plastic gets that white look when you work it back and forth right before it breaks? So, I don't know. I don't know how long I would trust those latches to not break. All right, so here's the gun. And it is small. I don't know. I had different concepts of the Nano before I, you know, ever really messed with one in person as to what size it was, because it always looks bigger to me in pictures. And maybe that's because they always show, you know, a very petite little female hand holding it or something, you know, to emphasize its purpose. But you know, it always seemed like it was a bigger gun than it actually is. It is very small. I will do some side-by-sides, just sort of real quick with it later on. General specifications of this gun. This is the Nano BU9, or I like to say, because it looks like it says right there, bug. So it's the Nano bug, and it has a 3-inch barrel, 3 inches even, I believe it is. Comes with 2 magazines. One in the pistol is 6 rounds. The extended is 8 rounds. So you have 6+1 or 8+1 capability. The pistol is 4.17 inches high, from the tippy top to the tippy bottom, and it is 5.63 inches long back to front. So it's a small one, and the thickness is 0.9 inches thick. Talk a little bit more about thickness in a second, but that is as thin as anybody. And the weight of this thing is just under 20 ounces with an empty magazine. 19.8, I believe it's spec'd at. So it's a light gun, it's a small gun, and it is a thin gun. It's also a little bit of an odd bird in how it's constructed, how it's designed. One thing you might notice right off the bat, when I talked about it being thin, I'm not kidding. The only thing sticking out in terms of controls on this gun is the mag release. And it doesn't stick out a whole lot, but that's it. If you see it maybe from this angle with my hand under it, that's it. There's nothing else. So conspicuously absent, or not only there's no external safety or any of that, the other thing though that is conspicuously absent is what? Slide lock. There's no slide stop. No slide lock lever at all. You know, no takedown control that you can, that sticks out. There is one right here. But that's it. So they've got nothing on the side of this thing to snag or to take up any kind of thickness. The sights are very low profile. Look how low those sights are on this pistol, which is perfectly fine. Looks like a good 3-dot sight picture. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's 0.9 inches thick everywhere. Looks top heavy. It always in pictures has looked top heavy to me. But it doesn't feel that terribly top heavy. Now there's not much of a grip here to it. It's a pinky dangler. There's no doubt about it. It is definitely a pinky dangler unless you're using the extended magazine. One of the things I do like about it, liked it right away, is I like the way they designed the magazine base plate. Now if you look at the magazine by itself, it looks funny. You think, wow, gee, that looks kind of silly. It looks like the magazine's wearing snowshoes. And it does look silly. However, it covers up the entire space behind the mag well nicely. Gives you a much better look when the magazine is seated than a lot of other guns, and I'll talk about one of those later as a comparison. So the extended magazine is configured the same way with that sort of long extension toward the back of the magazine. So without a slide stop lever or any kind of control like that, how do you lock the slide back? Well, there's only one way. You can lock it back using an empty magazine, and that's it. So it's either going to lock back when after the last shot and you have an empty magazine in the gun, or you have to insert an empty magazine if you want to manually lock it back. Now the only way to unlock the slide and move the slide back home is to remove the magazine. So basically the magazine is your slide stop, and that's the only slide stop. Okay, I can live with that. That's not too bad. I don't care. Maybe a small price to pay for such a tiny carry gun. Easily pocket carried in 9mm. But here's another weird thing, and I'll show you this real quick. So to take this gun down, here I'm automatically reaching for a slide stop. To take this gun down, here's what you have to do. So the field strip is with an empty magazine. Lock the slide back. Make sure it's unloaded and all that good stuff. Remove your magazine. Now, you do not have to pull the trigger to decock the striker. There's even instructions molded into the polymer frame that tell you that. But what you have to do is you have to depress this tiny little button you see right here. Just about perfect for a small punch like the Glock tool. You could use something like a paper clip or whatever. The thing I would be afraid of there is the rough end of a paper clip is going to scratch the finish off of that, and it's going to be, you know, pretty conspicuous. So you can do this. And then you have decocked the striker. Or what I'm going to do is just, like I do for almost every other pistol, I will just use the trigger to decock the striker. Okay, so there's that. Now, to take this down, once you've done that, you have to rotate this control. It's a little, basically a screw for the takedown, and you have to rotate it counterclockwise. That means you need a tool because this is very flush. I'm not a big fan of any time a tool is required to field strip a gun. I don't care how simple the tool is. It just, you know, there's two things about it. Number one, you may not have that tool handy to you, so that may be a problem. And number two, tools leave tool marks. That's what they do. So eventually you're going to have a marred up finish on this little takedown screw, and it's just not going to look good. It's going to look unsightly, and that's the sort of thing that bugs me. So what you can use is your 9mm round, or even an empty case. You're going to use the back rim of the case. In this case I'm using a snap cap, and you're just going to use it basically like a screwdriver. Insert it, turn it counterclockwise, only a quarter of a turn. So you want to turn it from straight up and down to side, and you'll feel the slide give way. And then you simply take the slide off forward, and from then on everything is pretty self-explanatory, like most other pistols. There is a removable housing, fire control group, chassis, whatever you want to call it. This is removable from the polymer frame. That'll be for a later discussion. That's a little too in-depth for a first 100, but that's it. There's your takedown. So you got your guide rod recoil spring assembly, which by the way is about the nicest, shiniest I've seen in a long time, and your barrel, and striker assembly, and your striker channel, and so on. So there we are. That's what's sort of unique about that. Now this was the second time I've done that. Yes, I did a dry run. But watch this screw, this takedown screw, when I put the slide back on. See that? It automatically resets itself to locked. So I thought that was pretty cool. So when you put the slide back on, you do not have to take your tool and rotate that back to lock it in place. A full cycling of the slide automatically locks it for you. So you're back ready for business. So I do like that. That was a nice touch. So here it is. Here's the quick first look out of the box at the Nano. I'll get it out, put 100 or so through it. We'll see how this thing shoots. Okay, so here the Nano is out at the range. Getting ready to load this thing up. Put the first 100, maybe more than 100, through it. Okay, gonna start out with some herders. Got lots of different ammo here with me today. Gonna probably run a little bit of everything through it, just to see how it handles. But I like Herters. Herters is a, probably most of you shoot Herters. Herters is a relatively inexpensive brand, but generally really good quality and very good consistency. All right, but let's put 100 rounds through this Beretta Nano and see what it's all about. Beretta Nano, let's see what it's all about. Long trigger pull, but smooth. A little bit of grit. Man, these tiny little guns with their tiny little magazines. Need to hire a boy to be back there loading magazines for me. Okay, that was the first 6. Let's do, I think, 7 more with the extended magazine. Gives you a little fuller grip. I didn't really mind the feel of the flush mount magazine, but the extended magazine does give you that extra grip, gives your pinky somewhere to call home. But yeah, so far I like it. It's a nice sight picture. You know, as I had said, the sights sit really flat down onto the slide, really low, and but it's a good 3-dot sight picture. Trigger travel is long, but pretty smooth, even though I can hear some grit. Don't really feel the grit. It's got a nice feel. I like the way it shoots. There's really not a lot of jump at all, and it feels like most of the recoil is coming straight back, and it feels relatively well handled. It feels pretty light. So, you know, I don't know what the poundage of the spring is that's in here, but I think they've designed it to manage recoil pretty well for as small a pistol as it is. Again, this is very tiny. I'll compare it to some others in the future, but this is not much bigger than a Car PM9. So I like that. I like it. Still getting used to not having a slide lock control. I'm just so used to having that, but you certainly can appreciate that it makes the gun flat. I don't know, that those first couple magazines felt pretty good. Let's reload them, try it some more. One note about the 6-round flush mount magazine for the Nano is that you can get 7 rounds in it pretty easily, actually, without a lot of resistance, which is, in a way, that's good because you can get 6 rounds in it with no resistance. But if you put 7 rounds in it, which I actually did, you'll never get it in the gun. So just watch for that. Keep an eye on your witness holes. All right, let's go for the second time with the Beretta Nano. And let's pick a clean spot in the target, maybe go up toward the head. It feels good. Just a nice feeling little gun. You almost have to really, I mean, it's a double action trigger. I'm sure that's how they list it. But you almost have to sort of roll this trigger like you do a double action only revolver. That's sort of the feel that it has. Like I say, it's a nice trigger. It's very smooth, very even all the way back. You don't feel any kind of mechanical hitch points or anything like that, which can sometimes plague a really long traveling trigger. Very consistent and smooth all the way back. Trigger safety is not an issue. You don't feel that at all. But like I say, a little tiny bit of grit, but you hear it more than you feel it. And that's probably something that very easily could work out. Again, this is the first shots out of this gun. So it's a long way from break-in. You know, it's a long pull and a relatively heavy pull. So you have to really have some good discipline to keep your sights where they need to be during that entire stroke. So again, you kind of treat it like a double action revolver. So let me check this out. I don't know if we had a failure to extract, but we've got a double feed here. Let me get some light. There, can you see it? Got a double feed right there. While I'm doing this, it's take a moment for a little bit of lecture, but it's always important when you're trying to clear any kind of a jam, even a simple one like a failure to feed or anything like that. It's very important to always keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction, downrange at the berm and level. Not, don't get it raised up high, or don't get it down low pointed at your feet, or a couple feet in front of you. So that's something you always have to try and be mindful of. So you may have noticed I kind of turned my body so that I could work with the gun and still keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. And just for your information, pointed directly at my camera is not what I consider to be a safe direction. So that's what I was trying to avoid, just in case you have an accidental discharge while you're trying to clear a malfunction. You need to know exactly where that round is going to go. All right, so much for that lecture. But so we had a failure to extract is what we had. And this is Herder's Select ammunition, which is very reliable stuff. I don't see any issues. But failure to extract that case. So let's finish out this mag and see what's up. Okay. Well, sometimes you just have anomalies. So for the moment, we will chalk that up to an anomaly. Like a bonehead, I did not start my target camera on that last volley, so you can take a look at the head portion of the target now before I shoot any more at it and get an idea where those hit. But yeah, the groups are nice. Again, I'm just at 7 yards, so it's you'd have to be trying to shoot bad. But I'm gonna maybe go a little faster, so I'll probably start opening that group up and just as long as they're on paper, I don't care. As long as I don't shoot my cameras, I don't care. But I just want to get a feel for the gun, so I want to get a feel for the rapid fire, especially for the trigger, because it has such a long stroke. Three down and stoppage. We have another failure to extract. We'll see when I get a different brand in it. I'll finish out this box of Herders and go to something else, Blazer Brass or Freedom Munitions or whatever. But if I have that issue with a different brand, then I will start to draw some conclusions. But I will tell you, malfunctions aside, I like the way the gun shoots. It really shoots nice. It handles very well. It's very thin. It's a flat little gun. It's small. It's short on the height and all that kind of stuff. And all those things would make you think, wow, it's probably a really snappy feeling, and it's probably, probably you're really going to feel the recoil. No, it's very soft. Very soft. Appears to be very accurate. Again, I like the sights. They're extremely low to the gun, which is good. It's a carry gun. But very effective. Good 3-dot sight picture. I don't see a lot of muzzle lift. I'll be interested to look back at this footage too and see what it looks like from that, because sometimes what I perceive and what I see later don't always match up. But feels pretty flat. I'm not feeling a whole lot of muzzle lift on it. And even if the muzzle is rising a lot, it's a really fast back on target. So, you know, it comes back to a flat sight picture real quick. All right, let's maybe see what we can do with some slow accuracy firing. Nano, by the way, fits just about perfectly in this DeSantis Nemesis pocket holster. Originally, this pocket holster was purchased for the Car PM9. It's been used a lot for that, but it will also fit guns like the Glock 42 and M&P Shield and the Nano. Let's see how well we can place some shots at that square. It's a 1-inch square. Hey, we got through a whole magazine that time. That's always a good thing. Okay. Accuracy's not bad. I mean, it's, you know, it's probably as good as me. Wrapping up the first 100 with the Beretta Nano. I had 2 malfunctions. Both were failures to eject, both with Herder's Select ammunition. Something I don't usually have a problem with as far as that ammo goes, but I haven't had any other problems since. That was a little bit ago, so we'll see. I don't want to snap to any judgment one way or the other, but something to consider, something to test further when I get beyond the first 100. I'll certainly be doing some compares with this guy. So let's finish out this first 100 with maybe some one-hand shooting, right hand, left hand, weak hand, strong hand, poor man, rich man, and let's challenge ourselves. Let's go for the head. Okay. It looks like everything went a little bit to the left, but you know. So after the first 100 through the Beretta Nano, I'm actually very impressed. I'm more impressed than I thought I might be with this little pistol. It handles the 9mm. I guess the recurring theme of today's session with this gun is that I'm impressed on how well it handles the recoil. I've said that a number of times, so obviously it must impress me. It's a nice shooting gun. The ergonomics actually feel pretty good, you know. It was comfortable to shoot even with the flush round magazine. You know, I don't mind the dangling pinky, so that didn't bother me. It has a good sight picture. The sights are nice and low. They really hug the top of that slide, but they give you a nice 3-dot sight picture. looks like it's a pretty accurate little gun, at least in, you know, the self-defense range. I just shot everything today at around 7 yards, so I didn't stretch it out by any means. But it's a comfortable little gun. It pocket carries nice, obviously, and you know, the trigger is probably the one thing to get used to. Some people may not like that long, relatively heavy trigger. Again, you gotta roll it like it's a revolver, and if you do that, it's pretty good. I will definitely get this thing back out and do some comparisons with it, but with the caveat of a couple of malfunctions that may or may not have been the pistol. Thumbs up so far at the first 100.